they still have a real strong emphasis on their forwards. Back in the early 2000s, Diego Dominguez was playing 10, a really strong pack. Now, they still focus heavily on set piece, but I think of all the countries, they probably kick the ball the least. They try and play a lot of rugby. So they've definitely evolved and adapted, but they've still kept some of their sort of core values and what they believe in.
Has that little bit of width made them a more dangerous team, or were they the old style Italy, if you like, where they just took it through the pack?
Yeah, well,
which works for them? They've
definitely got another dimension to their play, and like it's another thing we've got to look out for. And they scored 3 tries last week against 2 weeks ago against England, so they've got a real attacking threat that we need to be careful of come tomorrow.
From the coach's point of view, what have you made of Scotland's defensive displays over the matches so far? They've managed to keep teams at bay. They've defended very well. Has that been something that you've been delighted with?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of always a sort of evolving process. But Matt's now been in the post for a good period of time, and coaches through at Glasgow. So I think it's just generally people getting used to systems and processes, and fair play to players. They've defended really well, and a lot of that just comes down to them and the effort they're putting in as well. So it's been good, and if you can defend well and keep points to a minimum, then you're always you're going to be there or thereabouts in most games, and that's kind of been proven. We just haven't quite managed to get over the line the last 2 weeks.
What's perhaps interesting with that is if you think about Stuart's try against Tonga and his try against Wales, the way that you defended in both those tries has then set up the opportunity for Stuart to streak away the length of the park. Has that been a change of emphasis in that once you've got the turnover, you're looking to exploit?
No, that's usually is the case. I think it probably just so happens that we've been those 2 instances that Hoggy's been on the end of the ball, he's got real pace, and there's kind of a lot of circumstance involved in that. But when in principle, when you turn teams over, in general, it's a very good time to attack because they're had the ball and they're completely disorganised. So that's kind of commonsensical, but just on those 2 occasions you mentioned, it helps having Hoggy within the first pass.
The players look as though they enjoy, and when they talk about the way they're being challenged to play, especially in an attacking frame of mind, they seem to enjoy it, and they seem to recognise that it's quite edgy. It's quite an edgy way of playing. How do coaches come to terms with that edginess? Because it must be, they say it's a bounce of the ball competition, and the way Scotland plays when you're right on the edge trying to go for it must be quite a nervous experience.
It is. I think it is. It's quite different. We've got, roughly speaking, 2 groups of players from different pro teams, and again we're playing in a slightly different way to them both. And it's not there is structure, but there is freedom there as well, and that can sometimes, what you're implying, that can work both ways for you. It makes you unpredictable in attack, but sometimes it creates a bit of confusion. So what you need there is your key players, your 9s, 10 and 12s, really dominating and trying to have a real clear focus on what the defence is doing and what you're going to do as a result.
And in terms of the match on Saturday, we're expecting a record crowd for Italy, so there'll be a good atmosphere in the stadium. What do you think Scotland need to do against Italy?
I think we just need a bit of continuation. We need to keep playing the way we're playing. We're putting teams under pressure. The one thing for us that does have to change is we've just been letting teams off the hook. Whether that's a couple of penalties, a couple of mistakes, all these things add up. And 2 weeks ago against Wales, when they got the ball, they kept the ball for 10, 12 phases and put us under pressure. And we probably weren't quite doing the same in reverse. So in terms of the crowd, and we need to, that first 20 minutes, we need to start well and be really solid, and just keep those silly errors to a minimum really, and get the crowd behind us, and go from there.